Hello, welcome to my cake kitchen. It's a lovely spring day here from my UK-based home kitchen.
Hello.
Oh God.
Welcome.
It's a lovely spring day here in the UK, and if we're meeting for the first time, I'm Gladys, and over here I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate cake decorating easily. If you're watching this on replay here, thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you have a great time today. And over here we do all things cake decoration. We talk cakes, we do serious baking, and then some days we have a bit of fun. And fun, I should say. Hello, Tabitha, back on here today. How are you, my lovely? I hope you're well, you and your family. I know you left me a message yesterday about what I was tinkering in the kitchen. You know what? I did want to kind of come and bake today. Tinkering in the kitchen. I was trying to record a video that will be out over Sunday. It's not a baking video. In fact, Starpeter, it is a video about going back to basics I told you about. We're talking through equipments that you will need. And on that, I'm going to build several series of videos from which we will come back and use those recommended items for baking, just so that there's a visual of a resource that you can tap into for your baking, from picking your tools and equipments to actually doing the bake itself. So that is where we are at on the subject. Today, I really wanted to come and bake a couple of cupcakes. I'll tell you what, I don't have eggs. And I've told you guys, like, yeah, I don't have eggs. And I was caught between, can I dash to the shop to get the eggs and not be late? Or I just need to wait, okay? So here we are. Manasi, hi. Tapita. Ooh, Tapita has herself a new oven. Right, we're doing the live and we're going to be catching up. Good evening, Manasi. Hi there. Well, it's good afternoon here, but good evening wherever you are. Where are you joining us from? And is it Duico? Is it Duico, or it's Deco? I can't, but it's Wico, Nico. Okay, let me just say, I've silenced the D and it's Wico, whatever that is. I know I've butchered your name. I am so sorry. So what are we doing today? Well, yesterday we went off on a tangent, and then the thing that I wanted to do, which was to kind of cut the cakes we have made, I ended up not doing it. So today we are going to be cutting into the cake. This is supposed to be a cup, but my clumsy self knocked the handle out this morning. Because I knew I was going to cut into it, I decided that I wasn't going to put it back. So you were seeing some of the faults that can happen in the kitchen. And if you wonder what cakes we are cutting, we're going to be cutting the cakes that we have made. And just in case you don't know and you're meeting me for the first time, I made these cakes on a live, okay? And sometimes the intention after making a cake is to obviously take it apart. This is just to give you a guide of how much servings you can get from each cake, just so that you have some sort of idea of how many servings you get. And there will be the subject of prices we can touch on very slightly, but that's not generally why we're here today. Today we're just catching up, because prior to today I wasn't well for the last 2 weeks, and this week is just a reintroduction back, trying to get my routine back. But just in case you want to know, on the lives we're here from Tuesday to Thursdays. There's the occasional bonus video where we do what you call cake and giggle. And the cake and giggle, I'm trying to kind of make that a part of our hangout sessions on the live. Maybe once a month, cake and giggle, where we can sit down and then I can talk you through things about my cake life, hear what you want us to talk about. The cake and giggle is mostly driven by your interest. And yes, there are sometimes that we touch on pop culture. I am kind of in two minds about the pop culture subject, because we're a baking channel, and yes, occasionally there are subjects in pop culture that intersect with the subject of bakes. Because, for instance, this is not a big thing in the news, but for instance, there is the subject of some fake cake drama that is happening on our other friendly platforms over there, and there's this thing developing about, well, there was the story about Walmart introducing some cheap cakes, or affordable cakes I will call it, and some bakers were up in arms about why that was. How did the handle come off? Tabitha, I will answer that in a moment. But there was a recent thing about some bakers. Bear with me. I think my light is fluctuating a little bit. Let me just set it so that we are... Yeah, okay, got it. Right, so there was a recent subject of Walmart having issues with... custom cake makers, because Walmart had introduced a range of affordable cakes, and custom cake makers, some of them were up in arms because they felt like it was invalidating their prices or something like that. And there was a whole fuss about it. I am not on social media like that, so I came to that a little too late, and I had a lot to say about it in my mind, but I'm like, it was too late by the time I caught up, and I thought it didn't really matter. Plus, I hadn't been well enough to come back and have a conversation about it. And then in the last couple of weeks, there's been some cake subjects and conflicts, also disagreement more than anything, happening on our TT friend over here. If you know, you know, okay? TikTok friend over there. There was a cake maker who makes fake cakes. And the subject of the fake cakes is very, very unique, because she doesn't just make fake cakes. She actually makes cakes that are used, they are called grave cakes. And I know when you think about cakes, you think about happiness, you think about sweet moment. But the grave cakes are specifically for, say, made for family members who want to celebrate people who have their loved ones who have passed away, and sometimes you want to celebrate that, but you don't want to take a whole cake to, say, the graveside. And somebody specializes in actually making hyper realistic cakes from non-edible material. So they make this cake out of is it some something, okay, follow me on this one. And then somehow one business that specializes in doing that is offended. I think I'm just oversimplifying the subject because I haven't been invested into that subject like that. One business was offended because they believed that another business was taking over their concept or ideas. And I'm thinking to myself, I have a lot to say about this, because you know what? This is welcome to business. Welcome to business. Someone will snatch your idea even before you can. Now, is that ethical? No. But that is something you have to be aware of so you can mitigate that all the time. But this particular subject of someone stealing your business concept, you know what? The skill of cake making is open to all and sundry, okay? And you can never be limited to one thing. And if you are doing it, chances are somebody else is doing it. Nothing is ever so unique anymore. So I had a lot to think about when that subject happened, but it's been a few days now, and I don't know if that is worth a whole cake and giggle. Now, when it intercepts with the subject of cake and giggle intercepting with pop culture is when we talk about celebrity news and stuff like that. But even so, whilst I enjoy it, I also don't want to put my face or my name to something that may not be as I think I'm just careful about just negativity, because I think these celebrities do get a lot of slack. A lot. They do, right? People make money out of them, and they're commoditized in such a fashion where you almost like feel like they are not human anymore. And the subject that I have been guilty of talking about a lot here is Harry and Meghan. You know, they are so divisive. There's a lot of conflict and contention about them. But the truth is, they are also human, and at the heart of who they are loved ones who love them, and we don't even know what these people are. And feeding to that sort of subject matter is something that I have thought about, and I'm thinking, whilst I love cake and giggle, can we make this a wholesome experience and not feed into adding negativity in the world, because the world can do with less of that. The world can do with less of that. So the cake and giggle subject is fun. I'm hoping that will feature probably once a month or something, but I am also kind of looking at the content of that and how we can make it a wholesome experience and still deliver you value. So if you're just joining us on replay, today we are just cutting these cakes. Also because as a cake maker, I make a lot of cake. I make a lot of them, and sometimes it's hard to kind of discard them, and I think about ideas about how I want to repurpose the cakes or how I want to reuse them in developing different content, like your shorts and different things. But the truth is, I am always like shuffling cake around, and there's always cake on my table. My fridge is full of scrap cake that I struggle to even use. And as a person, every day, look, if I'm here on a live 3 days a week, that is cake centered subjects I will either be discussing or making. So I've just realized that if I'm not careful, I'll end up hoarding cakes, and that's the thing. So I just want to be able to do away with these cakes. Let's cut into it. Let's talk about them a little bit, and yeah, probably touch on price and see how you can enhance your own experience as a cake maker, if that is something you want to do. I can see, let me just adjust my camera a little bit again, bear with me. Okay, it doesn't seem like I'm doing something, but yeah, I had to just go and adjust my camera a little bit. So for the cakes that we have over here, Tabitha is asking, how did I break the handle? Well, the cake was left over the countertop and the handle was showing up here. And as you can see, I've always said my kitchen is very small. It's a small kitchen. So I was pottering about this morning and I kind of bumped into it, and then the handle went flying off. So Tabitha, that is what happened. My clumsy self bumped into the cake and the handle came off. That aside, if you wonder where these cakes came from, I made them right on this channel. So you can check on all of them on the channel, and you'll find out all the unedited versions of making these cakes. This is the most recent one. I made this a little while ago, and the plantain is the most recent one. So for the plantain, Tabitha is plugged into this, right? Tabitha says 200 pounds for the flower pot and 35 servings. We'll see. We're here now. We'll see. For the plantain, right? I would normally probably not make just one plantain. So the plantain is likely to be part of a whole bunch, or it is going to be a topper for a particular thing. So I struggle to price just one thing like this because it's so small. But say if I was to make a cake like a plantain like this as a cake topper, so you're looking at about 40 pounds for just the thing itself. But that's because it's a topper, and we'll see. So we'll see. Look. Plantain is definitely not pink on the inside, right? And so let's see. This is me cutting into it. Look. And then we have, so this is about 5 servings, if you like. Look at it. So that's the plantain, 5 servings. And before we cut into it, would you have thought this is a cake? Look at it. I am quite surprised by how it has come out. Look. Now I feel like I should have left the inside as not pink, like as in real cake, and then it will look like real plantain, because real plantain, you peel it. You do this and then you peel it. But there you have it, okay? An apple or an orange to go with the plantain. Right, so that's 5 servings for the plantain, and that will be about 40 to 60 pounds as a topper, not by itself, by the way, just so we are clear on that. So that is plantain for you, and I'm gonna just move the plantain so I can get the flour. And anyway, a good tip for cutting any cake that you may have to cut, a good tip always is to make sure you have a sharp knife. A sharp knife will see you through. And over here we have our next cake. It's always great to think about the cake you are cutting. Don't wait till the last minute and just dip a knife into it. That will not help you. That will not help you. So think about, you know what, the cake that is in front of you and what you hope to achieve with the cutting, because by so doing you are able to apply a little more thought and intention. And yeah, I know this cake is almost evolving into something that looks like a sack of bulging potato, but the way we made the cake means that it is easy to take apart. So I'm literally just taking the cake apart, as you can see. Yeah, and if you want to know how we made this cake in total, just check back on the channel. We have everything over there. Now I'm going to boil myself some water. You will see why the water is needed. You will see why I am boiling the water. The kettle is a little bit noisy. The simple reason being, when you are cutting into a cake, the cake is solid and you want a sharp knife that it has a warm blade to cut through the grease. I am kind of preparing myself mentally for the fact that my workspace will end up being a little messy. I'm going to let this boil a little bit. Now that's how you... If you want to cut a cake, you want to think about it. So if you have elements on it, right? So let's talk about how you handle your cake, even if you're going to cut it. Because no matter how beautiful a cake looks, eventually it will have to be cut, okay? Because you create, I think cake is the one art form that eventually is eating, okay? When you go and buy an art piece that looks pretty, you want to come and hang it in your house or keep it and remember it so you can savor the emotion of how you appreciate it. But cake is the only thing that, no matter how beautiful the art piece looks, eventually you're going to eat it. So this is what it looks like. Well, of course, when you go and get your cake, you are not going to keep it for a month. So you are definitely not going to have the pleasure of ripping things apart that they are so dry and they are so solid, okay? But that is the joy. I think at this point I am tempted to kind of turn this into a sack. Or I'm getting ideas for how to make a sack. So there we have it. What would you call this? Any ideas for what this would be called? What does this look like now that the flowers are gone and the lip is also gone? What are we looking at over here? Any ideas of what you're looking at? So at this stage, obviously most things on the cake is edible. So most people would want to put a knife into this cake, but I am just tempted to try and reduce some of the elements on it a little bit so that they don't go every and anywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, okay. You didn't know we could cook. Where have you been? Which part of the planet are you, darling? I don't know what to think about that. But yeah, we do cook, okay? We do cook and we bake. Somebody just... Oh, okay. Is that what? Kebobo cake. What is that? What is a kebobo cake? I have no idea. This was just a flour cake that we made on one of the lives before, and we are going to cut into it. So I'm just prepping to cut the cake. But what's a kibobo cake? Because this is not like a fruit cake or anything. The bits that are falling off were supposed to represent soil, dark soil. That's all. Okay. So I want to know about what is it? Kibobo cake. So yes, tap it up. It did look like a grow bag. Yes, I thought it looked like something. So it's gone from a flour cake, a flower pot to a grow bag. Okay, now that's some ideas. Now let's talk about Easter. Easter, what are we doing for Easter? Because the kids finish school tomorrow. And then we are going to have to make adjustments again for our time over here. But yeah, people, come on, make your voice heard. What do you want? Oh, there's a lovely cat outside my window. Like, what are we? I know, Tapita, you did say something about Father's Day, and yes, I am on board for that. Tapita made a suggestion for a barbecue themed cake for Father's Day. Okay, a bunny. Are we talking about an Easter bunny? I have scrap cake. We can make an Easter bunny. Yeah, that would be lovely. I just don't know. Talking about that, I might come back later tonight. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just trying to take away the excess bits on the cake before we cut into it. Okay, so Tapita is suggesting an Easter bunny. There we have it. A basket with some plastic eggs. You know what? I have thought about the Easter eggs and stuff like that. So yeah, I just want to think about, because the basket detail is not easy to achieve. And you know what I'm like. I just want to make it super beginner friendly. So I am thinking about how the variations of that. So let me have a look and do some research and see. Because it's not so much about making just the cake. It's also making sure that the techniques I employ to making the cake is achievable for all of you. So that is something I have to think about. Right. There I go hoarding again. So when you get a cake like this and you have kind of prepped it, I know most of the time people don't have the luxury of thinking to do all of these things, but taking the time to kind of take the cake and the elements apart will help you a lot. Also, if the cake has non-edible elements, do make sure you take all of that out of the cake. For instance, you may just think when we plop things into a cake, we plop them in for plopping them's sake. It is important that you know that when things are plopped into the cake, there is sort of guidance for safety, food safety reasons, and for general safety. For instance, when we make cakes, for maintaining the structure and enhancing the stability of the cake, we have to sometimes dowel the cake. Now I wonder, I know you'd be asking, what's a dowel? A dowel is simply a structure that is supposed to help keep the cake stable or helps to absorb the weight of towering layers. Doweling is not just used in cake making, it's used in engineering and construction. For say, when a bridge is being built, it has to be doweled. So the idea or the concept of dowel is not just limited to a cake, except in cake making, it is a small structure that is made up of non-toxic or at least food safe material that ranges from either wood to plastic or some other metal element that is what safely introduced into the cake to enhance the structure and ensure stability of the cake. So for say near realistic cakes or even tiered cakes, you will always find dowels in there. Now, one thing you would know or you should know is that we don't just dowel. And if you have a cake maker who just plops stuff into a cake. You should be very concerned because there are guidelines and instructions for doweling. For instance, if you're introducing metal into the cake, you should be able to make metal food safe. Now, food safe doesn't mean that I am asking you to magically turn the metal into food form, but making it food safe means that you are going to safeguard it or try and make it safe so that by the time it's introduced into your cake item, it is in a way not going to affect your cake and its safety adversely. For that sake, sometimes it is recommended that you seal the metal and then introduce it into a plastic element. There are so many ways, and for that, because these things are introduced into cakes, when you are handling your cake, you should be careful. I never understand how people want to throw other people's face in a cake, because you never know. Sometimes we use barbecue skewers. Sometimes when we plot what do you call it, the polystyrene balls that have metal ends, even when we wrap it and make it food safe, there are still sharp elements that are in a cake. So for that, if you are handling a cake, just consider the risks that may come with a cake and try and be safe and not stuff anybody's face in it. But the bigger thing I wanted to say is that if you take time to take your cake apart, you are eliminating elements that would be making the cake safe for you to eat thereafter when you've taken them off. So for instance, whilst the sand elements are made out of completely edible material, we're talking Oreos, mixed berries and seeds and biscuits, you know, if they're part of the cake, of course, why not? But I just took them up so that they don't interfere with the cutting process. That aside, the dowel is still in the cake, and sometimes you're going to have to take the dowel out, but other times you're going to have to work with the dowel. Each situation is quite unique, but I say all of this to say you have to give consideration to the cake you are handling just so that you can get the best result out of it. Normally, I would ask that you make a guess for how much the cake will cost and perhaps the number of servings. And Tabitha has gone ahead to suggest is about £200. I'm in the UK. So Tabitha, what will be the equivalent of that in dollars? I'm going to go ahead of myself and think it's about $260 maybe. I may be wrong. So let me know what you think. But on that note, let's go and cut this cake and see if we are going to actually get 35 servings from it. I can guess, but we will get there, so I better save myself the guess. Plus, don't forget, this cake has been sitting out for more than a month since we made it. We have the details on the channel, right, how we made it. So let's see. Right, it's a chocolate cake, look, right. Okay, I am still going to go for the party servings. Okay, so we have 6 here. Okay, we have 6 solid servings here. I mean, for those of you, this is still solid cake and we don't have much, say, ganache or buttercream. It is probably why the cake has saved for so long. Look at it. Right, so we have about, let's see, I'm just going to get pedantic and about 1.5 inches each, and that is over, yeah, it's 1.5 inches this way and a height of 2.5. So yeah, this is what you will call party servings. I'm gonna get myself a plate because I just want us to get this right. because when you're serving a cake, you have to have an understanding. You're not just cutting the cake. You're cutting the cake because there are sizes to adhere to. Now, your cake, your rules, and however you choose to cut your cake is completely up to you. But I'm going to try and do this as close to the guidance as possible, just so that it is realistic enough to be represented in a way where there's a dowel in here, the dowel into which the flowers were placed. So I'm gonna try and cut around the dowel. Now, keeping the knife warm means that I'm able to cut through the oils in the cake. So, and the card here helps to safeguard the cake and doesn't let it fall over. So we have another 6 here. Let's see, I'm gonna go in. That's another 6. And by the way, I will show you when it's all done. That's the dowel. It's in here. So whoever gets this bit will then take out the dowel, right? That's 12 servings over there. I know if you're not a cake maker, this may just be a little too much for you, but bear with me. Okay. Okay, now let me just let this go now. Okay. $18. So, Carpenter, to be honest, we have about 24 exact servings, and I knew it. I knew that would be it with 4 layers. So, for instance, this is a medium cake, a medium-sized cake, because my small serving is about 15, which is a 5-inch, 7-inch high, and a medium cake is this one, which is about 27s. I know it goes up to the 24 servings. The reason why I stick with the 27s is that I also know that customers may not be keen on sticking with, or may not even know how to cut the cake accordingly to get the appropriate number of servings. So I leave the extra servings. Look at what's happened. I'll tell you in a minute. I leave the extra servings just so that it can make up for. So a realistic serving of 20 to 24 over here. And how much will this cake cost? A minimum for what is decorated here. A minimum of, give or take, £185 to, depending on complexity and polished design, to about £225 for the serving of 20, which makes it a reasonable size of maybe £9 per serving. Anything over £8 per serving, because you think, how much is dessert? So at this point, you're not just paying for the cake because it looks like that. You're also paying for the artistry, skill, and everything that influences the price of a cake. So for 24 servings, a minimum of 20. So normally, I recommend that when you're deriving the cake servings or the cake guide, don't go for a specific number. Leave room for extras, just because customers, look, the time and attention I have dedicated to cutting this cake may not be the same for all customers, okay? So anything between what did I even say? 185 to 225 will be a reasonable price, and we have 24 total servings. So I am kind of pleased about being able to cut the cake over here, and the rest is all in a bowl. I promise I'm not going to hoard this cake. I'm going to let it go. I just want to take some photos of it when I'm done, and then I can discard it. Okay, so whew, I kind of feel like, can I tell you how I feel about losing my cakes? Yes, Tapeta, you really were on the price for this one. Okay, you were better than perhaps anyone who would have guessed a price of what is it, £20. Yesterday there was a friend in the chat who said the cake was £20, and I'm thinking, where do you think you are at? You think even Walmart, well, Walmart may sell it for 20, right? Look what I've done. I had a bowl of yogurt on this, a cup of yogurt that I was intending to eat for my lunch, and I've ended up, you know what, I'm not going to chuck it away. I'm just going to take out because I had the cake bits kind of sprinkled into it, and I'm like, what is that? Okay, I've got rid of it. It's just a bowl of kefir. Okay, don't judge me. I don't eat before I come here, you know, so I'm gonna eat a yogurt when I'm done. Tell me, were you surprised by how many servings we got on there? Were you surprised? Now let's go, and we are going to now cut our teacup cake. Is it a teacup? Whew. Let's see. It's spring in the UK here. I am super excited because it means the summer is coming. We should be having a summer party. Yay! Okay, right. No, Tapeta is just grassing me up to her mom that I'm hanging on to the cup for April. No, Tapeta, see, you were dead wrong, because I'm gonna cut that bugger. Yeah, there you go. We are cutting the cake. Okay, we are. So let's see, how many servings are we going to get out of this one? Okay, I am just going to go and predict anything between 12 and 15. Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud. I should have given you guys the chance. But we will let it go. Tapeta, don't worry. Tapeta, there's room for more cakes. There's room for more cakes. Let's let it go, honey. Okay? Remember, we are trying to declutter. Okay? We are trying to make... We're trying to leave some space in our lives for good things to happen. You have to let stuff go. Tapeta, you know, I would love to keep this, but oh, Tapeta, I have too many scrap cakes over there. I can't add anymore. Okay, we have been there, done that. Let it go. Okay, there you go. So we are scrapping 18. Yep, £100. Yep, you know what, it's a fondant cake anyway, it matters. 18, a servings of 18. This, yeah, let's see, 15, because my non-fondant cakes have a minimum price of £95. So even though this is a fondant, it is very minimalistic in terms of detail, style, and design. So 12 to 15 servings, 12 to 15 servings, give or take a realistic price of a minimum of 125 to 140, somewhere there in between, because sometimes people want extra detail on it. So yes, Tapeta, you are right. Okay, so we've got this. I'm gonna look at that cake. It looks fresh on the inside. Look, now I'm upset. Okay, that's the thing about fondant, right? So I just want to go and cut through this. See, having the warm sharp blade also helps with getting a clean cut to your cake. Okay, and okay, if you wonder why, I just wanted to make the space. So look, there we have it. You can't be wrong on that, right? So I'm gonna, because I'm cutting that, I'm gonna leave that on my work table, and I'm gonna flip this around, and now we're going to cut the cake, right? This I am not going to cut into, I'm not going to cut over and over. So we have 6/7 over here already, right? And then that is a 6-inch 3-layered cake. And that's exactly 12/7. So 12 to 15, but it's exact. As in, we've got exactly 3 layers, because look. Yep. 6 here, 6 here. And then we have 6. So that is 12/7. So for the cup, 3 layers of cake standing at about 6 to 7 inches. Let's see. Let me look at the height, because I'm going to special like that. Okay, that is exactly 5 inches tall. So this is the standard size of a cake. You're looking at 4 to 5 inches. That is by height. And then you're looking at a little over an inch. It's probably an inch and a half. But for the length of the cake, this is not a 1-to-1. Let's have a look. Yeah, 2 inches. So this is party 7. So you have a party 7 of 3 inches. A 6-inch cake. Party 7s of a 6-inch cake standing at 5 inches tall. We have exactly 12 reasonable 7s over here. Okay. And there we have it. And for the 4 layers of chocolate standing at, let's look at the height of this. Yeah, 6.5 to 7 inches tall. Okay, so this is not double height, but that's still a tall cake. We had exactly 20 to 24 7s. Okay, and then which one? What other cake did we have? So we have the 3 cakes. Oh, except for the banana that had 5 7s. So imagine, we know that for sure now. I will put details of what the 7s were like on the community post, just so that if you want a guidance for how tall your cake should be and how much 7s you should get out of it, that will be some resource for you to look back on. So look out at the community post for more information about the 7s. But then again, here is where we are. So in terms of price point, the flour cake was a minimum of £185, edging to £225. And that is because it's an artistic cake and it requires a lot, and you're paying for the artistry. But for 200, and let's say if we stayed at a minimum of £200 middle ground, that's about £10 a serving for 24 cakes, okay, for a serving of 24. So not bad at all. And for the cupcake, as in the teacup themed cake, minimum serving of a minimum price of £125, edging to £140 for a 6-inch cake standing at 5 inches tall, serving 12 people. You're paying for artistry that rather than the object itself. And of course, I did cut one cake yesterday. We've cut the football cake. I did that with my son. So those are our realistic cakes that we have sort of cut up. I am sure, like, as long as I keep making cakes, there will be a time. Tapeta is in the is in the chat with her hoarding self, trying to kind of keep the cake. Okay, so Tapeta, for £131, I think I will round it up to 130. So whoever picks the cupcake up is going to pay 130. And if you're wondering why I am not eating the cake, because it's scrap cake. It's cake that is I have hoarded for a long time. So we are not going to be eating the cake. But if you're in the chat, tell me, if you cut into a cake, what is your preference? Do you want the side or do you want the middle cake? And are you a more buttercream person or less buttercream? Do you like the part of the fondant? What are your preferences? Now let's talk about eating cake. Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. Okay, so we are eating cake and we're talking about what options you would like. I like the middle because I don't like the fondant part of the cake. I don't like a lot of fondant. So I am particularly the person who will probably nibble into the cake and leave all of that because the sugar is too overwhelming. But I'm a cake maker. You can say I've eaten too much cakes, but what would you like? Are you for this? Are you for the middle? Are you for the fondant? How do you eat your cake? Like I said, I will eat the middle and then throw the fondant away. You can call that a waste, but what would you do with your cake? Come on, let's hear what you have to say. We are... Tapita said, when I was a kid, the piece... Oh, okay. Tapita would have said the piece with the most frosting on it. As an adult, I don't want all that fondant frosting. So a middle piece will be... Tapita, I always knew that I could share something with you, which is I am a middle person. This is me. Definitely. Me. That is me. Okay? So, yes. The frosting, I have never been a frosting person anyway. I haven't. Like, I do not... I'm like, too much. The frosting is too much. Okay, it is just too much. Let's not do that. Okay, so no, there we have it. There's a lot. So no, I'm actually for the middle. Okay. I am actually for the middle. So yeah, but I am quite surprised how the cakes held on. Because I kind of thought cutting into it, they will probably fall apart because they've been sitting there for a long time. But I am so happy. Yeah, tea and catch up with cake. That would be fun. I am actually, like I said, I'm actually hoping that we can structure the tea and catch up or tea and cake and giggle so that it's more valuable other than just me going off on a tangent. Okay. Okay. I know some of you do love me going on a tangent. Yeah, the inside of a cake is likely to be moldy and it's not good. I think this probably... I don't know if it's the Oreos in it that are showing through or it's mold, but it's a good thing we are not eating the cake. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. The truth is that cakes do save well, okay? If you keep them well, because the sugar then becomes a preservative for the cake. So cakes do save well in good conditions, but I really don't want to eat a stale cake, even if I am sure that it's not molded, okay? So yeah. Cake and giggle, I'm thinking that it is something, because if we make it a format on the channel, it is something I want to grow with. Like, I want it to grow with us, that we can... So I want it to be... I don't know if wholesome is the word, but it definitely has to give you guys some value, rather than me just going on a tangent. But the subject of, like I was saying, pop culture and stuff, it's still something I'm like, my head is like this way about. And that is because, like I said, so unless it's something that we can't avoid, a bit like Blake and Justin. But there's only so much time we can dedicate to talking about Blake and Justin. It's like, let's move on, shall we? Because life happens and we are all bored already. And I also find that, oh, feed it to the fishes. You know what? I don't live by a lake like you, Tapeta. Okay? Because I then have to walk. The birds might like it. Tapeta. The last time I checked, the birds didn't like my cake. Can we? Can we give it to the birds? The birds might just like our cake. All right? People, we've cut the cake. Are you surprised by the prices of how much these cakes would have cost if I was selling? Yeah, I don't... Yeah, it would be lovely to feed it to the seagulls. But perhaps I need to post the cake to, what's her name? Lollipop. Lollipop is not here today. Lollipop is not here today. Because I think Lollipop lives by the sea and would probably have given this to the seagulls. But hey, it's okay. It will go in the bin because it's still cake and there's nothing lost on it anyway, right? Darpeta, you were so funny. There's so much cake over here, but we are not eating the cake, okay? We are not doing a mukbang. Is it a mukbang or whatever they call it? I've never managed to say that word right, but there you have it. I really didn't have plans for this cake, but I couldn't help. I'm like, no. Is it Isby or IB? I can't call your name, okay? Sorry. I just butchered your name and probably gave you a whole different name that you didn't know you have. How are you? Thank you for being here with us. I have some rubbish on the floor that I want to sweep. Oh, this tiny kitchen of mine. This tiny kitchen of mine. This tiny kitchen. Okay, there we have it. Okay. All right, people. We'll be leaving soon because I have a workman coming to do some work in my home today. So I've got to go shortly. Is there a question? If someone asking me a question. Okay. Why is the red velvet? Why is it? Okay, IB is asking. So it's Bay. It's Bay. I could be calling your name wrong. Forgive me. Right? Why is the red velvet cake expensive? I don't know what you mean. Why it's expensive relative to other cakes? I think it's fairly the same, but it depends on where you're buying your cake and whether it's a specialty recipe. So I can't give you a definite answer, but my red velvet cake, vanilla, and so a few things will influence the price of a certain cake, but it's not specifically the flavor of the cake. It is the amount of ingredients and whether it's a specialty cake. And when I say specialty cake, we mean where the cake has to be adapted specifically for a very unique preference. Then, of course, the price will differ. In terms of my business, a red velvet cake, I have a generalized selection of cakes that you can choose from. I think there's about 5 options, which includes vanilla, chocolate, red velvet, lemon, and Oreos, cookies and cream. Those are what I call generalized, or what you may refer to as standardized flavors or standardized options. They don't come with any extra cost. And whilst the ingredients in each of them is varied, they almost fall in the same pool in terms of price point, if you like. So there is no added cost to whether you're ordering a red velvet or a chocolate or a vanilla cake from me. But say if you switch from vanilla to, say, a carrot cake, a carrot cake comes with extra items like the carrots and the nuts, and that's what I would call a custom option. So those prices are slightly different. So for instance, if I was serving a carrot or pistachio or coconut, those are different. But depending on the sort of my business plan and pricing guide or pricing option, I could put pistachio, coconut, and, say, carrot cake in one category where they cost exactly the same as one another, if that makes sense. But the reason why a carrot or coconut or pistachio will cost slightly different from, say, a red velvet cake is because of the addition of pistachios that will attract an added cost to the total cost of ingredients. So I say that to say, Ivy, I want to answer your question and say, oh, this is the reason why it is more expensive. But it depends from business to business. Like I said, my red velvet cakes don't cost any different to my vanilla cakes and chocolate cakes. But I can also understand why a different business may charge extra for a red velvet. Because red velvet is sort of, it's what you call a specialty option also. Because depending on the categories of cakes and the pricing options, certain cakes are going to cost a little more, but it's not a one rule for everybody. I hope that kind of makes sense. Oh, okay, you're from Pakistan. Okay, so that may tell. Because, say, if culturally the cakes that you make fall into a certain category, say you make fresh cream cakes or some sort of home style simple bakes, the red velvet becomes like a luxury item. I don't know why you would it will be charged a little different in Pakistan, but I hope I have given you some sort of explanation and context to why it may be a little different for you, but I don't know for sure. I know. I know. That's Tapita. Yeah. People sharing their love of cake from different parts of the world is actually really exciting. Some days I actually forget that I am addressing like a whole world of audience out here. Because sometimes, Tapita, when I come here, and especially when I get talking to you and Tapita and most of you regular people that I talk to, sometimes I have to almost not kind of pinch myself to, you're not just talking to these people, there's a wider audience that will come back and see you. So sometimes it's like when I dip into conversations, I have to remember, oh, okay, somebody is missing the context. So yeah, let's see, let me get in the chat and see. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, Tapete, your oven has been sorted. Your oven has been sorted. So I take it you are back to baking. We can just bake it at home on the stove. It doesn't have to be. Um, Not necessarily expensive ingredients, because The ingredients in red velvet are no more expensive than your regular chocolate cake, isn't it? But like I said, I don't know why in Pakistan, a red velvet cake is any more expensive than any other cake. So let's see. Yeah, that's where we are. But good people, we have our cake here. Tapita, are you working today? That said, our week's lives, we've been here Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. I am happy to have finally gotten rid of my scrap cake. Why am I smudging cakes around my ear? Right? Ignore me. People, this is scrap cake, okay? So don't judge me for touching my face. Spent most of the day scrubbing and cleaning the new stove. Oh, okay. Who doesn't love cake? I don't know. I've not met that person who doesn't love cake, but you never know. You never know. We all like different things. And I am just happy that I love cake. And Tapita isn't working today and she's here. You know, since we've been here, it's occurred to me, where is our lovely lollipop? But I know she will show up. Perhaps not today. She's probably with the little person. You know what? My little hoarding self is kind of making me think I can actually take all these cake pieces and make cake balls with those, and then make them into another cake. I cannot help myself. I cannot help myself, people. I cannot help myself. But no, look, the red velvet cake looks absolutely delicious because it looks moist and yum. As for the lemon cake, boy, I know, Tapita, I will be holding the same cake till Christmas because I really, really want to turn this cake into something. You know what? I am going to let it go. I am going to really let it go because if I don't, that would be diabolical. How a cake can sit out for what? All that time and still be nice. It's like it's anyway. Glad, let it go. Okay, people? Tapita, stop laughing at me. Oh, pull that scab. Okay, wait now. Pull. I know. You know, we can turn it. Tapita, don't encourage me. I might as well. You know what? Even as we stood here talking, actually, let's see. Tapita, you are so toxic. I'm going to put on a pair of gloves, okay? And I'm thinking, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. Because I was thinking we could make chicken wings. I'm not going to do it, Tapita. I'm not pulling the scab off. We'll let the wound heal in peace, okay? So let's let this cake pieces go, and then we'll be back making some more, because as I'm talking to you, I have cakes sitting in my fridge that are scrap cakes that needs to go, okay? Tapita, me sitting by the fire is something I've been dreaming of, okay? I've been dreaming of that for as long as we've been talking about it. So yeah, so Tapita, Tapita, are you going to be that friend that shows up and be like, I found myself a new boyfriend? No, not that I have, okay? I'm just like, are you that person who is enabling that friend to be doing the thing they shouldn't be doing? Tapita, don't be that person, okay? But Take the scrap cake and turn. No, no. You know what? We can't turn the scrap cake into jollof rice. We can turn it into a pot into which jollof rice can exist. How is that for an answer? Okay. We definitely cannot make it into jollof. Okay. But we can make it into a cereal bowl or a pot that, but you know what? Let's let the cake go in peace. Okay. Let's just throw the whole thing away and be done with it. Okay. I know. But you know what, people? Let's just throw the cake in the bin and then come back another day and do some more cake, right? You won't see me tomorrow, God willing. You won't see me on Saturday. I tell you when you'll see me. You'll see me on Sunday on long form, where I'm talking you through cake tools and materials and all the things. You will also see me in the comment section of the short videos and even in the community post and everywhere else in between. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a great one. Look after yourself. Be kind, peaceful, happy. Okay. Eat some cake. Have fun, whether you're buying it or making it. And I am sure I will see you in my next video. However, you want to go check the muffin video. Okay, the muffin video is a very simplistic recipe of a muffin that I was making. It's still as fun as it is out here. Okay, but we'll be back again on the live starting Tuesday. So much to do. Tapita, give mom a hug for me. Okay, pass my love. Okay, I'm sending her virtual hugs, and pass my regards to the hubby and the baby. And I will see you again soon. To all of you who love and support the channel, I am so grateful for you. And I hope you have a good day or enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.